You know, we get a lot of questions on fertilizer, and people always want to feed their plants and so forth and so on. So let's give them some rules of thumb, I guess. There's a lot of choices here. We have liquids, for example. We've got some of these that are slow release. They're pellets, for example, that we can throw into a pot. But what kind of guidelines do we normally go on here?
If you're a person who's not going to fertilize regularly, I'd go with something like the Osmo coat. Once every 4 months, it's there, it's done. You don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah, you just sprinkle that on top and forget about it.
With the liquids and the water, with the liquids especially, these mix well. So what I like about this compared to some of the water solubles is it really mixes easy.
Yeah, it's a little easier than this powder, for example.
Right, and it gets into the plant system pretty well. The biggest thing is when a plant is actively growing, it can use a fertilizer. So annuals, you know, they need it all summer long. Houseplants, not as much. In the summer, if they're putting on a lot of growth, sure, feed them according to the directions on the bottle.
So what my rule of thumb is, and maybe you can give me your rule of thumb, is maybe when we start getting in the fall, lower light, lower temperatures, what do we tell them?
The plants are going dormant at that point. So I'd say from November to about 1st of March, I'd kind of lay off the fertilizer altogether.
I think that's what we try to tell people, is just to really not even worry about fertilizer until plants either start actively growing again in the spring, and when they start to slow down, just cut it out.
And it's a good idea too. It's a good way to get some of those salts and everything that are in the soil out of the plant system.
Right. When it comes time to repotting, and people want to think about that, we have some recommendations. I think we've got lots of choices here, but I think what do we want to look for on this bag, for example?
Well, especially indoors, you want something that says potting mix, and that's usually a mixture of peat, perlite, maybe some charcoal, but it's nice and lightweight.
It's a lot lighter.
Yeah, and it's going to drain well. And you ought to lift up that bag, and it's pretty lightweight. I'm not even going to try to lift this one. This is a planting mix, and you just have to be careful because this is meant for outdoors in the garden.
And same with this potting soil in a way. I think this is a heavier mix for most of our indoor plants. We want to go with this lighter.
With the lighter, the better, yeah.
Yeah, this lighter mix. And so again, maybe a rule of thumb as far as the next size pot up.
I mean, if something's in a 4-inch pot now and it's starting to bust out of it, or the roots are just really heavy, just go one size, maybe 2 sizes up, maybe just to a 6-inch pot.
Right, and the fallacy there is that people want to go too big, and it's just too much soil, it holds too much moisture for too long a period of time. So we want to just barely go to the next size.
Exactly, and what you'll notice too is when you water that center root ball, that's what you want to get wet, and if you have too much, then the plant's not even getting ready.
Right, so wet soil around doesn't help. We really want to make sure that that root ball is watered, and then just enough new soil so those new roots can go out into that.
Exactly.
And for another year or so, then they can continue to grow and be fine.
And just keep an eye on it.